All right, hi, I'm Mike Cerrone, and you're in the right place if you're here for the Referral Mastermind Call. This is an open session where we will talk about any topic you want to address when it comes to referrals, getting more referrals from your friends, family, and past clients. And it's going to be a fun session. Everybody will come in muted, and then, however, if you would like to speak, please unmute yourself and chat with us. To get started, anybody have a success story that they would like to share, a referral success story that they've had in the last week or the last couple weeks, even the last month, that stood out to you and you would like to share with the group? Okay, must have been a slow week. No problem. By the way, how is things going out there? Are you seeing a change in the market? Is the market changing? Anybody experiencing a slowdown in their market? Is it still the same speed? Is it speeding up? What's happening in your market?
Hi, Mike. It's Wendy Greco.
Hey, Wendy, nice to hear from you.
Hi. Yes, I am starting to notice just a bit of a slowdown. So, of course, with the rising interest rates, it's kind of shrinking the buyer's ability to purchase, what they used to be able to. So, yeah, I am seeing somewhat of a slowdown.
Sure. Can you quantify that? Are you seeing a slowdown in leads that are coming in from your past clients' sphere of influence? Are you seeing fewer showings on your listings or less competition when you work with a buyer? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm seeing less competition. It was really nice. Yesterday, I went into contract on a property and I was able to ask for an agreement to remedy period, which I'm usually couldn't in the past. I got the property for $5,000 under list. I didn't have to offer an appraisal gap. I even got my client a home warranty. So it kind of felt like I was, and they were an FHA buyer too. So it was kind of like going back to the old days of normal real estate.
I love to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm hoping that we're going to move back to a normal market where buyers can be protected, right? They can be protected by their inspection clauses, appraisal clauses, and the like. So I'm really happy to hear that. I get worried when the market gets so hot that the buyers are no longer protected and they're taking so much risk. So that's one benefit, right? There's a plus and a minus to every market and every change in the market. Thank you for sharing, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Anyone else experiencing a change in their market? If you'd like to chat, go ahead, just unmute yourself and chat with the group. Again, this is an open mastermind. We're just getting rolling here.
Yes.
Hey, Cliff, how are you?
Good. Here in Northeast Florida, we have been severely low in existing inventory, and I think that we are starting to see a trend up now. But I think that for the market to go back to being more balanced, I think it might be a good thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I think you're right. It'll certainly be better for buyers and anybody working with a buyer, and maybe even more rational for a seller. They may be able to find out what the real value of their home is a little easier. What do you think about that?
I think you're right. I think that we were like last year here, we were chasing the market a lot. And so, you really couldn't even look at comps very, very much because the market was outpacing the comps. And I think that the sellers have gotten very, very used to getting high prices for their homes. And so I don't know what that's going to do to the market, but here in Northeast Florida, we have a lot of these big time investors, right? These investment companies. And so they don't really care about the interest rate. They're paying cash and they've got these huge portfolios. So I think that, and I've been saying this for a couple of months, I think that they're propping up our market.
Mm-hmm.
So the interest rates are not affecting it as much as it would if we did not have these major investors in the market.
That's an interesting point. And I hear that throughout different markets. Their investors are coming into their market. And as you said, paying with cash. They got a lot of loose Wall Street money, if you will. The interesting thing about that is as interest rates go up, those investors are now going to have to pay some interest on their loans. They're going to have to be a little more critical. It'll take a little while, but things will start to slow down, I think. And the media, as fast as it was to ramp things up, amplify things, is probably going to do the same in the reverse. So I'm not sure what to expect as far as timeline, but I'm hoping we're going to have a soft landing. And whatever it is, the bottom line, where I'd like to go with that is your referrals from your friends, family, past clients. If you keep working that source, I think you're going to be fine to survive any kind of change in any market. It's always the foundation for a great business. Anybody experience a change in the referrals that they're receiving from their PCSOI, their past clients and sphere of influence? Anybody experiencing a change, like you expected to get 5 calls this week or this month, and instead you only got 1, or instead you got 10? Any kind of changes that you've had in your referrals? Anybody would like to chat about that, please let me know. Just unmute yourself and let me know what you're experiencing as far as referrals in your market. All right, I'll take that as there's been no change, or there's no change that's been noticed. And maybe that's good. That's a good thing. Let's do this. Let's open up. Again, this is an open mastermind session where we use the power of everyone involved to help out with any challenges that someone's experiencing or a success that you have that we can amp up. If you have anything you're curious about on how you could get more referrals from your friends, family, past clients, go ahead and unmute yourself and present to the group what you're thinking or what you're experiencing, and we'll see if we can help you work through it.
All right, I'll start.
Hey, Cliff.
Hey, so right now I am doing the Buffini system.
Cool.
And then I'm also in BNI. And what I struggle with is that, you might be in these networks like BNI, but, those BNI people, they still have connections with other people. So it's not like you're automatically getting referrals from anybody. You're actually having to sell yourself and your service, So I guess my question would be, what I've been sending personal notes and, stuff like that, but what are some other things I could be doing to really deepen the relationships other than like one-to-ones and things like that with my BNI crowd?
Awesome. So, so that everybody knows what you're talking about, what does BNI mean?
So BNI is Business Networking International, and there are several groups, but the premise of it is that you, as a realtor, if you get into one of those groups and there's an open slot and they select you, then you are the only realtor within that group, which, theoretically would open your sphere up and open your networking up so that you would create more referrals.
Awesome. Awesome. And how long have you been part of BNI?
Yeah, so I've been a part of BNI for maybe 6 or 7 months.
Very good. Have you been in the same group for the last 6 to 7 months?
Yes.
Have you received any referrals?
Yes, I have. Not as many as I thought I would have, but I have received some referrals. But there have been struggles as well, you know? So to give you an example, I had a lender that was in the BNI chapter as well. So the lender that I was using, I've been in the business for almost 10 years. The lender that I was using before, I dropped her back to second place, started using the BNI lender. That was, kind of expected. And her and I we kind of ran into a rough patch.
When you say her, do you mean the lender in the BNI or the lender,
yes,
your old lender? Okay.
No. The lender in the BNI chapter.
When you say rough patch, what does that mean?
So she sent me a couple of actually, I was sending her some referrals, and in our market, like I said, our inventory is very low with regards to resales. So I started showing them resales, and then these two people decided to go to new construction. Well, with going to new construction, they decided to use the builder's lender. And she reported me into my BNI chapter for giving her referrals and then, quote unquote, taking them away. And I guess guiding those people into new construction. So my point is that I don't use the leverage that I would have in the chapter would be her and I really working strong together. But since she did that, I've lost all my trust in her. So
and she may have lost trust in you, right? So it's mutual loss.
Right. So I'm, I guess the point is, I will not be sending her any referrals because of how I feel like she has treated me. And I'm sure she won't with me either. And that's fine. But it's just, so that those two strong seats in BNI are not being utilized in my chapter right now.
Sure. And that was probably going to be your number one referral source out of that group.
Correct.
And vice versa, you for her.
Yes.
How many people are in the group?
We have about 20 right now.
Okay. And they're all from different industries?
A lot of it's trades. So we have an electrician, we have an HVAC guy, we have a painter, stuff like that. But yes, in different industries as well. Finance, insurance, stuff like that.
Have you received any referrals from anybody else in the group?
Yes. So that's where my other referrals have come from, is from the photographer. I'm actually helping her son with a build right now.
New construction.
You know what I mean? Just different things, but yes.
All right. This is good. So I think we've got the setup here. Let's do this. Let's open it up to the group and see if they have any experience in BNI or any advice to you for how you could make this work better. One final question as people are thinking about that. Have you had any closed referrals out of the group?
Well, I referred somebody to, I've referred two to that lender, and they did close. One was this person had an offer with a national lender, and my sellers were not comfortable with the national lender. So I made the recommendation of her because, like, the lady in my BNI group, because she's local and she was able to close it very fast. So we had two closings. Yes.
Okay. And those were ones that you referred to her. Have you received any referrals from the group that have closed for you?
I am currently working with that guy who's building.
Great. And that was from the lender, the one that got a little messy.
So that was from our photographer in the group,
From the photographer.
who gave it to the lender and also gave it to me.
Ah, Eric threw it into the group.
Yes.
Well, let's do this. Let's open it up. Anybody have any advice for Cliff? Cliff's working with the BNI group. He's been in there for a little over 6 months. He has there's about 20 people in the group. They've got a lender in there. They ran into a little bit of an abrasion between the two. Any advice for Cliff on how to make this group work for him, for referrals? Go ahead and unmute yourself and give Cliff some advice.
Cliff, I would just, try to work on my relationships more with the other people in the group, like the painter, people that you can refer to. And I don't know, try to mend your bridge with the lender. But, sometimes the most referrals come from places that you would surprise you, because you would think it should be the lender. But in this situation, like you said, the photographer, the painter, all those people you can refer out, because you always hear somebody looking, for a painter or whatever. So.
Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Good advice, Wendy. Anybody else have any advice for Cliff and his BNI experience? All right, I'm going to make a couple of suggestions. So, Cliff, I think what I've heard from you so far sounds like you are working the group well as far as the idea of reciprocity, right? That's what the group is all about. And in order to receive referrals, you want to give referrals. It sounds like you have given referrals and you've even received many. Have you been able to give referrals to multiple members in the group?
Yeah, so we have like a promotions guy in there. So I've been using him for my welcome home signs. Also branding on pins and stuff like that. So I'm using him. Also I have referred my HVAC guy as well. And I'm working on one for an electrician. So yeah, I'm trying to pass them around as much as I can, but I think at the end of the day, like my thought in becoming a part of this was that like I was going to expand my network, right? So if I got referrals, awesome. If I didn't get referrals, that's fine, because I would still have trusted people in those areas that I could refer to, So that's, I guess, like, that's probably the most frustrating thing about the lender is that I wanted somebody that was like very, very close, like we were hip to hip, but it's okay. And I agree with you, Wendy, like you have to deepen the relationships with the people that are in there. So
do you know how long the lender's been part of the group?
Yeah, she actually came in after me. So she's been in there for maybe around 5-6 months, something like that.
And if she's not experiencing success there, she may leave. You're thinking about leaving or staying, you're all deciding. It's an interesting challenge. Let me ask one more thing here. Is the relationship between you and the lender irreparable? Do you think that it's really got ugly then?
Well, so she wrote an email to the vice president. So I guess how this works is she wrote me a text and said, "You've taken 2 of my referrals away. And I'm not happy." And I said, well, you have to understand, as a realtor, I can't like push somebody to use somebody specifically, like we do the best we can. I'm showing them like resales. If they were going to buy a resale, of course, and like I actually did go back to her, because I went back through my texts. I went back to her and asked if she could match what the lenders were doing. So it, like it was brought to my attention. And then we had a conversation about it. And at the end of the day, everything in my business is about trust and integrity and character and all that other stuff. And if I can't trust somebody, I won't use them.
Sure.
And so I do not trust that she has my best interest at heart, because if she would have picked up the phone and called me instead of running to, leadership in the BNI, group. So no, and there's more than enough lenders out there for us to have really, really good relationships with. So it doesn't, I don't believe that it behooves me to try to use her again.
I understand.
Just being 100% honest.
Sure. And you got to go with your gut and your feeling, and you got to protect your client. So I understand where you are. So let me ask one more idea here. That we're talking about BNI groups, business network international, where you go in and you're with another group of professionals and you're passing referrals around for anybody who just joined us. And we're talking with Cliff and his situation that he just got going 6 months ago with a group in. He's had a little bit of a challenge with one of the other members, in this case, the lender, who he felt would be a strong referral source, and started to, but then it fizzled out. So, Cliff, let me ask this. Is there another group or chapter nearby that you could join? Or is this it? It either works or it doesn't?
So, the group that I'm in is a group that is, it's kind of in the area that I want to work. And I have not heard of any other openings in other groups in the area. I think that they're all filled with realtors currently. So I haven't, and to be honest with you, I haven't really looked. I have, since the conversation with the lender, I have had conversations with the vice president and some other people in the chapter, because the concern for me was not only does the lender have an issue with me, but now the whole leadership knows about this issue, which could besmirch my name to the whole group. So then what would be the reason to stay, if, you know what I mean?
Have you received referrals since things got choppy with the other lady, the lender?
No.
You have not received referrals from anybody else since that happened?
No.
And how long ago was that?
About a month.
Okay. Well, we'll ask if anybody has any other advice. Does anybody else have any other advice for Cliff and his BNI group, and where he might go next with this?
Mike, I know that Paul Wheeler, when he was first starting out, he was kind of in a similar situation, and he started his own group. It was a lot of work, but that group is still together today. He quit, I want to say about 10 years ago, because it just became too much and he had other priorities. But I think you would have more control if you have the time to do that.
Oh, Angela, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the advice. Wow, that's very impressive. Paul Wheeler, of course, has done very well in the business, sold over 200 homes in a year. So Angela's advice to maybe create your own group has a lot of validity and a backing. Apparently it worked for 10 years. Cliff, does that have any appeal to you?
I haven't really thought about that. I do appreciate Angela speaking up about it. And And I do want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to tell my story, because I have not told anybody this stuff outside of BNI. I mean, I've been just because it's not something that, is very positive to share. And I just appreciate any advice anybody has. So thank you so much, Angela. I appreciate that. And Wendy. And thank you for facilitating that, Mike.
You bet. And Cliff, you sound like a sharp guy, a very conscientious guy. I have a good feeling things are going to work out. I don't know what that solution looks like. We tried to bounce a couple ideas around. I hope you'll keep us updated on what happens. Sorry we don't have an easy blue pill, red pill solution for you. But I think you're on the right track. You're trying to treat everybody fairly. My biggest thing moving forward was I would continue to hand out referrals to people in the group, and just take a pulse check of everybody in the group. Make sure that at some point you're receiving referrals back. If not, you may have to either move to another group or wait for the lender to not be there. You just have to gauge that, because this is all personal relationship, right? It's all in how you feel about one another. But this cannot be the first time that people have bumped heads in one of these groups. And it's too bad it can't be ironed out, but I understand where you're at. Just do me a favor and keep us updated, Cliff, on how things go. Fair enough?
Yes, sir. I guess just one last thing, if you don't mind me.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Cliff.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we're losing a little bit of your volume, your audio.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. So what I was saying is that when we met with a one-to-one, I explained that my name is everything. So from a referral standpoint, it's my name. From a vendor standpoint, business partners, everything is our names as independent contractors. So it's really important to have very, very, very deep relationships with the people that we do business with. So I just wanted to mention that, because I said it a couple of times to her, and that was brought up to me, that she said it was a little offensive that you kept mentioning it's your name on the transaction. And in my mind, I'm thinking, of course it is. Because if something goes south, they're not blaming you as much, because I'm the one that's like referring you. So anyway, right. So I just wanted to mention that. And thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it.
You bet, Cliff. It's an interesting challenge working with vendors, lenders in particular. We all want to be the one that's running the orchestra, right? We want to be the conductor running the show. And in my mind, I'm with you. The real estate agent is kind of responsible for everything that happens. We certainly get blamed when things go wrong. And the lenders have been growing in strength over the years, and they've been trying to take a bit of that position. You'll probably see that more, by the way, now as the interest rates are moving up, because their refinance business is completely dried up. I think it's down 75% since last year, applications on refinances. And so that means that a lot of these lenders are going to be pivoting and trying to pick up purchase business that they've either ignored or that has been kind of their sideline. So you're going to see a lot of people coming into the business, and you are going to have to pick and choose those relationships that you want to develop. And obviously the key is to make sure that they can close the transaction. But beyond that, you got to be able to get along with them, or things will get messy. When things get messy, it's going to get messier because you're not going to have good communication. So I completely agree with you. And again, Cliff, I appreciate you bringing this to us. Let's do this. Let's open up now and see if we have anybody who would like to bring a challenge they're experiencing, any other type of challenge that they are experiencing in getting more referrals from their friends, family, and past clients. If you have an idea that you would like us to develop or work with you on, a challenge you've experienced, a success that you've had, go ahead and just unmute yourself and share that with the group. All right, so if you have anything you're experiencing in your referral world, that's, again, our focus for today. Anything you're experiencing with working with a referral, getting more referrals, an idea you have for how you could generate more referrals, like Cliff just had a great idea with the BNI. If you have anything like that you would like to share with the group, and Cliff pointed out a really good point. He said, I have a real challenge. I haven't been able to express myself and my problem with my local folks because I don't want that to get out and come back at me somehow. And so it was a little easier to share it in this national setting where we kind of have this private group, this mastermind where it's just a few of us working together, trying to help each other. So if you have a challenge, why don't you go ahead and share that with us, or even an idea, something that's working well in your market that you would like to share with the group. Again, this is an open mastermind based on referrals. Unmute yourself and let us know what you're thinking.
Mike, this is Cindy.
Hey, Cindy.
Hey, sorry, I wasn't prepared to be on video, but I have a question for you. So
Sure.
in the past, my husband, Tony, he's not here right now. He's in a class, but he's been like really loyal and faithful to the one lender that he had been using for so long, but he's never really done anything to mastermind with us on try to get more business. And he feels kind of like loyal to him, but I'm like, Tony, we've got to find other people to be with. Cause I know, lenders pretty much work with, they work with more than one realtor, of course. So, I mean, I think we need to kind of be the same way. We should have a couple of people to work with. Don't you agree with that?
Boy, that is a great challenge, isn't it? And Cindy, thank you for joining us. I know who you are. Say hi to Tony for me.
Yeah.
So let's open this question up. Instead of me trying to answer, let's go ahead and open this up to the group. Cindy basically has this point that her husband and she work together, Tony, and Tony is very loyal to the lender that he's been working with. And however, that lender has not been masterminding with them to generate new business. And the question is, should they continue to stay very loyal and work with this one lender? Should they open up and work with multiple lenders? What's your thought on that? Anybody go ahead and share. Unmute yourself and let Cindy and I know what you're thinking.
I guess my question is, have they approached this lender? Does the lender know, kind of what you're wanting to do or not? I don't know. That's, I guess, my question.
Well, we have talked to him about, he's not a big kind of, let's find some ideas, do some ideas together. He's so busy, but Tony's so loyal to him because he's never had a failed transaction with him. And we've given him our business for 20 something years. Every person we get that doesn't have a mortgage broker, we hand it over to him. And so he feels pretty loyal to him because he always never has a snag and always closes and everything always works out. But I'm like, he's not the only one in the world that in our area that does that can close and does a great job. There's a lot of people that do a great job, just great, provides great service and closes on time and doesn't stretch you out or anything.
Cindy, what?
Also,
Go ahead.
yeah, Mike, in that same category, I have been using a lender strictly because he's good and fast, and at closings, it's smooth as silk. So have I gotten business from him? No, but the trade-off is I know the deal will get closed, and that's worth value in itself. And even he's told me about it. He goes, Rob, I work with a lot of agents. I can't really show and recommend, he actually stays away from that because his business is lending and he focuses on that and getting the deals done. He's not really, well, I got this agent, but I got this agent. He doesn't play favorites. He just stays away from that. So I stay with him merely for the fact that the guy's good as gold. And, until he screws up, he's getting my business.
I like that, Rob. I like the loyalty. You got somebody who's getting the job done, getting completion, getting into the finish line. There is a lot of value there. I appreciate you saying that. And I was bouncing back in my mind a Cliff statement earlier about the reputation that you have in the market. It sounds like your lender is making sure that they have a reputation of being fair and not playing favorites as far as any referrals that they may have. It's a really good point, Rob. Cindy, if I could ask real quick, what are you hoping to get from the lender at this point?
Well, I'm more of the one that goes and tries to meet more other mortgage brokers and interview them. And I kind of do it, virtually, and then we meet in person. And when I talk to them, they have so many more, they're more creative and more innovative as far as ideas on how to get more business. I mean, we met with somebody yesterday that Tony does like, but he still says to me, but I still feel pretty loyal to Robert, because he's always closed and he's never had a problem. And, he doesn't really help us a whole lot with ideas and stuff. But I'm like, yeah, but, we need to have that because we need that something new, something different that not everybody else is doing. And when you have people that are creative like that, they come up with great ideas. You're like, that's a great idea. Let's do that together,
Can you give us an example of this great idea?
Well, this is something you heard of, but I didn't know. He's got a title girl that will do, like pull a neighborhood so you can do some geofarming. And she can get the numbers, the names, and all of that. I'm not sure what tool she's using, but we can use that with a dialer and start dialing and getting listings. And that's kind of what we're wanting to do, is trying to get more into the geofarming.
Or you could get lists, or title company does those things too. Yeah,
that's what he suggested. His title lady does that. And I'm like, well, our title person never offered to do that for us. So I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. We'd like to do that,
Cool. Yeah, Cindy, that sounds good. So basically you're saying your lender is coming up with some ideas on how to generate additional business. And this one idea that piqued your interest was the geographic farming, putting together lists of properties, a list of homeowners with properties that meet some type of criteria. And I forgot who was pouncing in. I think it was Rob mentioned that, most title companies can do that and have been, as have been able to do that for a long time. And you certainly can do it yourself, typically by going through your MLS, and used to be called PDC, but I think there's a different name for it now, your public record system. But I get your idea. You're talking about, is there a way that the lender can help you generate additional business? One way that we initially think of is that lender hand us business, hand us a referral, and that's obviously nice. I think one of the other ways that you may approach or look at, and you got to be careful to tiptoe in this properly, but the idea of some kind of co-branding or co-marketing where you and the lender are doing advertising together and leads are coming in that you're sharing. The reason I'm bringing that up is the lender then doesn't run into the problem of the favoritism that they handed you a referral that they had of their sister or their cousin or somebody who came in through their sphere or through any advertising they're doing. By the way, again, I'm going to mention this one more time. You're going to start to see a lot of lenders popping out of the woodwork, loan officers popping into your office because their refinance business dried up and they're struggling. And so they are motivated to create a relationship with real estate agents right now. And so with that in mind, you've got to sift and sort with what's real gold and what's fake gold, right? What's a real opportunity and what's not. But you may go back to the person that you already have this strong long-term relationship with and say, hey, could we have a meeting? And then sit down with them and say, we're looking for ways to expand our business. Do you have any ideas? And they may say yes or no. And then the next point may be, have you considered maybe doing some co-branding with us, where we do some co-marketing? And I'm not sure what that's going to look like. They may have ideas. You may have some ideas in the back of your mind. Whatever type of business you've already had success with, that line of business is probably a good place to go. It could be as simple as this. For instance, this call is on repeat and referrals. Maybe you and your lender get together and they help to co-sponsor a party or event for your past clients' sphere of influence. That way you get to make lots of contacts and connections with your past clients in a very fun way, easygoing way. You're not begging for business. You're offering something fun and it's exciting. The cost of that is going to be offset by the lender, and the lender is going to get the opportunity to meet people in your sphere. So any marketing that you send out could be co-branded, like if you send out a postcard or an email and have both your names on there for this event. If you have the event and if it happens to be in person, you could introduce the lender to the group. That's easy and completely understandable that they would want to do that for their marketing purposes to expand their sphere. You're getting this person in front of your sphere and reaching out to your sphere. It sounds like a big win. And it may be a way for you to offset your costs, where instead of doing one event a year, you could do 2 events, or instead of 2 events, now you can do 4 events. You can expand your reach. Have you thought about anything like that?
Yes, definitely for me. I have.
Cool. Have you talked to Tony about stuff like that?
Not lately, but I think that that's a good idea. We should be doing that at least once a year, if not twice a year.
Yeah, the top folks, they're doing events now because it's become so easy, a great way to reach out. They're doing events often quarterly. Some are even doing monthly because it's just such a fun, easy way to reach out to your sphere, to stay in front of them. It generates so many ancillary referrals and connections. And now you have a way to help fund it, which is kind of cool. Anybody else have any experience? Okay, go ahead, Angela.
Yes, so right now we're at 5 to 6 events a year. And we have our title company is actually our biggest sponsor. And then we have a lender, a pest control, an insurance company. In the past, we've had up to 15 sponsors. Right now, it's we really honed into our favorite top sponsors. One thing that I am trying to explore is having multiple lenders, because we would like to offer our clients at least 2 or 3 preferred lenders versus just one, and give them the choice. Because sometimes if they don't have a good result with that lender, it comes back to bite us. But if we can give them a choice and the opportunity,
That's a good point. You should always have a small stable of valued vendors, right? So maybe 2 or 3 lenders that you could refer out. In fact, I believe that's recommended by the National Association of Realtors for your liability. So nobody can say you tried to jam them in with just one inspector or one appraiser. Well, you don't pick the appraiser, but one lender in this case, one home warranty company. There's certainly an argument for either side, but I think the most important thing is to make sure that you have, as our very first issue with Cliff was, that you have confidence in the people that you're referring, to make sure that they're going to make you look good. Angela, that was a really great point. Thank you for sharing how you are doing events. You said 5 or 6 a year, and you're getting sponsorship to help. Do you know if the sponsorship covers, because there's so many sponsors, if it covers the entire cost of the event? Do you know if that's happening yet?
It's really close. Our title company, they pay for half of the event, and the other sponsors, they pay a monthly versus per event. It's very, very close if it doesn't cover the whole thing. Our next event is we have a baseball team that's, I don't know, is it called minor league team, where we bought 200 tickets. And
Wow.
So our top people that refer the most business, we're going to invite them first. And then the remaining tickets, we're going to do a bunch of drawings and giveaways on Facebook and to our favorite people group where they can enter to win the remaining tickets.
Yeah, contests are so fun, right? Events cover parties. They also cover giveaways and contests. You get a lot of interaction in the contest. It's usually a relatively inexpensive event to put on. So keep an open mind, everyone, when you're hearing this idea of event. You don't have to do the old-fashioned idea 20, 30 years ago is you did a huge end of the year event, a big gala, and it was a massive party, and it cost tens of thousands of dollars. Your event doesn't have to be that way. It could be much lower cost, a much quicker event, much easier to plan. The whole idea of doing events, the reason it's so powerful is the reach outs. It's the invitations. It's the, hey, come join my inner circle. Come be part of my world. You're inviting people in rather than asking or begging for some kind of business. And by doing that, you're creating those tighter relationships where referrals just start to happen. So Angela, that was a really good point. And let me address one other elephant in the room. When you're doing these kind of co-branding, co-marketing things, just make sure that you talk to your broker. If you are the broker, talk to your attorney. Make sure that you're complying with RESPA, Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act 1974. I'm sure you're all aware. The general rule that I remember, and I'm not a lawyer, but the basic concept I have in my head there is it can't be some kind of compensation per closing, right? You can't be doing compensation per closing. You have a closing, you give somebody $100. That's a problem. That's where RESPA has a big problem, where it's tied to closings. If you're doing general marketing and advertising together in these co-op situations where there's no expectation of a referral, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You're just getting your name out there. That's typically seen as possible and allowed. But this is where you're going to want to talk to your broker and get them involved. Make sure you get everything set up straight at the beginning. Like I said, maybe an attorney to make sure you have agreements in place so everything goes smooth. Remember, you want to get that done on the front end, not the back end when things get messy for some reason. But a lot of people do it. They've been doing it for a long time because they work through the front end of it. The back end goes very smooth. And again, it's a way that you can amplify your business if you have a relationship with, say, a lender or other vendors that are out there. Does anybody else have anything else they would like to mention or contribute with this idea of either a lender, working with a lender, having multiple lenders, or working with co-branding, co-marketing?
Mike?
Yes. Hello.
So I'd like to know what an individual agent can do. Because I've had some, I've had a lot of closings, but I didn't do any closing parties or housewarming parties at the time. So now they're just past clients. So, what can an individual agent? I know a lot of groups do big events, and I've been with some groups and we did big events. They were fun. But I'm on a team, but I'm really working like an individual agent now. So I want to know, what can an individual agent, what does anybody have in that arena to suggest?
Sure. And do me a favor, tell me your name again.
My name is Bonetta.
Bonetta, I think you were with us last week, right?
Yes, I was.
Bonetta, nice to see you again. So your question is, if you're an individual agent, how can you reach out to your past clients if you haven't kept in touch with them? You mentioned some great ideas, by the way. You said to do a housewarming party when they first close, and the purpose of that. I'm just trying to help everybody get up to speed on that. If they haven't heard of it, you do a little party when they move in. The nice thing is not just that you're making them feel good, but if you do it correctly, you're inviting all their friends to join. And in that process, you acquired the names and phone numbers and addresses of all their friends. So you kind of opened up your sphere. So it's kind of a great little way to open your sphere in a fun setting, in a fun environment. And that's another good little party or event. As far as being on a team or being individual, I want you to remember that I can't even think of anything this doesn't apply to. Every single concept that works for a team works for an individual. They're the same thing. They're fluid back and forth. I'm sure there's an exception I'm not thinking of, but when it comes to marketing, reach out, events, experience, whatever you could do as an individual, as a team, you could do as an individual, and vice versa. They work together in tandem. You keep in mind that you can do very small events. If you have a smaller budget, or you're concerned, or you have a smaller group. For instance, you could do a Love You a Latte event. Have you ever heard of one of those? That's where you invite people to a coffee house and you just hand out free coffee. You don't even have to do, I've heard people do this event where they don't even buy the drinks. They're just meeting people at a coffee house and kind of getting them together, and maybe have a raffle for something or just meeting a bunch of friends, say, I wanted to introduce you to this other person and the like. But it's common that maybe you would buy everybody their first drink, their first copy. So, if you invite 10 people and it's $5 a copy or $50 for your event, you got these people together, you're sitting around a table. Think about this. What is the focal point of this event? If you've got 10 past clients sitting at a table and you just all bought them coffee, what do they all have in common?
Me.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so you're going to end up being the topic of conversation, how great you did. The fact that they showed up, they already love you, right? They love their experience with you. They want to reconnect with you. Have you ever done a Pi Day event? I mean, that's probably the most popular event, right? Have you ever done a Pi Day event around Thanksgiving?
Yeah, when I was on a team, we did it at Thanksgiving.
So people do the Pi Day event around Thanksgiving because it's just easy. You hand out a free pie.
Right.
It's a simple concept. It's a relatively low budget event. But the thing that I always hear back from top agents all the way around to every agent I've talked to about this event, I always get this comment. They say, Mike, I don't understand why Sally or Stan drove all the way across town 30 minutes or an hour to just pick up this $10 pie, and then they left. I don't understand why they came here. They could have gone to the grocery store. I mean, it's only a $10 pie. And the answer is they did not show up for the pie. They showed up to reconnect with you, right? They want to take that connection further. They want to deepen the relationship with you. And so that's the power of these events when you do them in person. The contests and the giveaways, the power there is all these events is the invitation, because you're able to talk to people multiple times to invite them. So you can invite them 3 times as an example. You might send them a postcard, you might send them an email, you might give them a phone call, you might send them a text message. These are all touches that you need. You need a certain number of touches throughout the year so people keep you top of mind. Right, I'm going to flash back real fast. I know we're trying to jam a lot in here, but it's a great question. If you go back to an old NAR study, it was done a few years ago. NAR basically went out a year after closing and asked regular customers and clients, hey, did you have a good experience with your realtor? And the vast majority said yes. And the next question they asked was, would you use the realtor that you just used a year ago? Would you use them again? And 86% said yes, they like that agent that much, right? And then they asked the next question, which was, what's the name of your realtor?
Right.
Only 11% could give an answer. Only 11%. These are people that liked you. They had a great experience with you. They have a great feeling about you, and they couldn't remember the name. So when it comes down to referring their friend or to repeating the business, they're not going to know what to do. You think they're going to try to find you? I almost said the yellow pages. They're going to try to find you in the internet. They're going to try to knock on doors to find you. You're going to drive over to the old office and try to find. They're not going to do any of that. They're just going to say, oh, well, I can't remember. And they're going to just say, I don't have anybody for you. Or they're going to give them their second choice, somebody who has been in touch. And so the key is that we, as the agent, the realtor, the business person, we have to stay in front of our past clients. We know they had a good experience because we know we're good, but we cannot assume that they'll remember us or remember to refer us. So the best agents that I talk to, they have a plan to make sure they stay in front of these folks. And what you do is you create an annual marketing plan where you plan it out for the whole year, and you're going to execute on that plan. And the number of contacts per year on the low end is around 12. And so once a month. On the high end is 30, 40. It sounds crazy, but remember, they're not all personal, direct, in-your-face contacts. They could be real light contacts through email or through a text or maybe through the phone, maybe one of these parties or just an invitation. So there's a lot of different ways to just keep your name and face in front of them. That's why all marketing, you put your face on it, your name, and something about real estate. So they're connecting those in their head, and you're moving up in the ranks in their mind. Did that help at all?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You betcha. And that's the key, is to create this annual marketing plan. If you have one, awesome, review it, make sure that it's strong. If you don't have one, put one in place. I guess you got to go one step back, which is you need to have your database, right? You have to have your database so that you can make these reach outs. If you haven't started your database, be sure to do that first. Have you started yours?
Oh yeah, I have had a database for years.
Perfect. And you hopefully you've kept it up. Are you working it? Are you making reach outs to those folks?
Yes, I do them weekly.
Wow, that's really good. Are you making them through phone, or how are you reaching out?
I do phone. I have them on a drip file in KV Core. Past clients on a drip file for close. I have new clients. Every time I enter a new client, it automatically starts them on a drip. So, as a matter of fact, I want to say this about KV Core. I've used a lot of CRMs. I'm that person, but I've never seen one that has gotten me as much response. People really think that I'm texting them. They really think I'm emailing them, and they respond. That just amazes me. I've never had that kind of response before from any other CRM.
Oh, that is fantastic. That is really cool. And so that's kind of that AI working in the background, staying in touch with them, kind of maybe creating a conversation and then popping you in. Very nice. Well, I hope we helped out a little bit. It looks like we've come to the top of the hour. I appreciate everybody being here. I've got to wrap this up. I did notice, I was going to look real quick over in chat. I always forget to look at chat. And somebody said they're new and they're just getting used to the program and they just want to listen. Hey, that's awesome. And that was Paul. Hey, Paul, no problem. When you're ready to chat and share, feel free. This is an open mastermind. We do it once a week. We come in, and as long as you all want to share, I'll come in and join with you. Another question was, Cindy asked, are these recorded? And the answer is yes, I try to record them. And then they'll be posted in the mastermind group in Facebook. And then also try to post them out on YouTube if you'd like to hear any of the past calls. A question for Cliff on Popeyes, and we we've missed through that. Let's see. I haven't. Okay. Something about a drink there. All right.
Mike?
Yeah. Yep.
What's your YouTube channel that you can find those on? Is it under your name or is it under the Agent Mastermind?
Hey, thanks for asking, Cindy. If you'll go to YouTube and you type in Mastermind Agent, you'll probably get there. But it's Mastermind Agent Network, I think is what's the name of the YouTube channel. And it's got all of our materials that we've been posting out there. So there's quite a bit of material to work through. If you go into, I think they call it playlists, you can either look at the first page down the playlist. There's one that just talks about the mastermind. So Referral Mastermind Call is right there. And then also it's in a playlist, I think, if you go back into the YouTube channel. I hope that helps.
So it's called Mastermind Agent Network?
Correct. MMAN, Mastermind Agent Network.
Okay. Thank you.
You betcha. Good question. And then, Rob asked, when is your summit interview coming up? Hey, cool. Thanks, Rob. The summit is coming up. The big one is coming up in July, mid-July. I think July 15th is our first day. It's a 7-day event. Be sure to get your ticket there, by the way. Just go to agentsuccesssummit.com, agentsuccesssummit.com. Pick up your free ticket, get in there. We got 21 speakers plus a couple bonus speakers. This is our 10th year. I can't believe it's been 10 years, but it's the 10th year of the summit, and we'd love to have you there and join us. Again, it's all free. You can listen to, I think we have 3 speakers speaking each day. You can listen anytime during the day, whatever works for you. All right, well, we're going to do the wrap up here again. Thank you so much for joining us in the Referral Mastermind. If you would like to join us, we'll be here again next week, same time, same place. As you're moving through your week, go ahead and make notes about anything you would like to bring to the group as far as a success, a question, a challenge, an idea you'd like to bounce off of everybody. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right. Thank you again so much for your time. Take care.